Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports for Thursday, April 16th. We continue this hot run here. We're 24-9-1 now over the last 12 days. 11 winning days over the last 12, with the only other day being the day that I passed. So we were on a massive win streak. It somehow continued yesterday, starting out with the win with the Boston Red Sox. Easy win, I guess. I mean, they were winning the game 9-1, but then they almost blew it in the 9th inning. They gave up 4 runs in the 9th inning, even though the bullpen is one area where the Red Sox did have an advantage. They held on. I'll take the win with that one. Also, as a Red Sox fan, you know, we got to get something here. The Washington-Pittsburgh game, that was disastrous. 2 runs in the first inning, so it's like, all right, we're on track here for an over. And then no runs scored in the rest of the game. Okay, totally makes sense. Mlodzinski pitched like 6 innings for Pittsburgh out of the bullpen there. So they put the opener in front of him. Didn't know exactly what they were going to do, but even with that setup, I thought they should give up runs in that game. 2 hot offenses there, but they both cooled off big time. But then we were able to get the win with the late game. Texas and the A's ends up 6-5 and ends up going over. It was looking good early. Both starters struggled. It was 2-2 in like the 3rd inning. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is on pace. And then middle of the game, we had a bit of an issue where there weren't any runs being scored. But luckily, I believe it was the A's like unloaded for a 3 or 4 spot and not that much longer into the game, like around the 6th inning or so. And then Texas came back and beat up on the A's bullpen a little bit, and I think it wound up 6-5 A's. We got the win with that one. Move on to today. NBA is off today, so the 2 remaining games will be tomorrow, and I'm used to it being the 8 seed play-ins, both being on Friday, so that we kind of know, you know, usually the 7 versus the 2 is kind of the closer series where you actually want to know who's in there before, because I got to still do my bracket special and stuff, although it's going to be that's going to be a quick video, and I have to have Clint on to talk about the playoffs as well with Bald, so we got to figure that out. That'll probably be tomorrow. Be on the lookout for that, but while we're doing that, there probably will be like 1 remaining game, so it'll be for the 8th seed in the West, though, is the last game. It's being played tomorrow, but yeah, well, actually, at this point, yeah, it is for the 8 in both ways. So we know who the 7 is now for both, right? It's going to be Portland and Philadelphia. So the Celtics get to play the 76ers, which means I'm going to be listening to that 76ers song again. The only advantage the 76ers have. Celtics better win that. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get into today. It's not that huge of a board today. We have 10 baseball games today. It's like the official getaway day for baseball, so it's a lot of afternoon. And then it's the final regular season day of hockey where I just don't have anything. Like I said, I was likely going to pass in hockey. That is what I'm doing. Not a whole lot to see until we get to the playoffs in hockey. So we will have 2 baseball plays on this board today, though I got 1 total and 1 side in baseball. Seems like a good mix, but that's just the way that it worked out. So, all right, Washington and Pittsburgh started off at 12:35 p.m. Eastern. These teams, they're finishing a 4-game series with Pittsburgh leading the series 2-1. So probably Washington's going to try to show up and try to bounce back from a shutout as well. Will Pittsburgh be looking ahead to playing Tampa Bay next? Probably not. So probably you will get an effort out of both teams here. Pittsburgh used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Washington only used 1, but Washington's bullpen is bad. They are definitely the worst of the 2 bullpens, so I don't know if the rest edge that they have really totally negates that. They're 26th in bullpen whip, but they're, I believe, dead last in bullpen ERA. Very bad stuff. Pittsburgh, kind of a middle-of-the-pack bullpen. They've been all right. Offensively, both teams have been hitting well still. Washington is still 4th in OPS, which is insane, and I do expect regression a little bit there. Pittsburgh, 11th right now. I kind of expect them to wind up middle of the pack as well. Foster Griffin is getting the start for Washington. I still don't know what to make of him. He's got a 1.76 ERA and 1.11 whip so far this season. His walk number is not great, though. He's walked 6 guys over the last 2 starts to go with 7 strikeouts, including having more walks than strikeouts in his last outing. Yet it was still a 1-hit shutout, 5 1/3 inning performance against the Brewers on the road. I guess you got to give him credit for that, but I still don't see how we can trust this guy. I mean, he's 30 years old. His career numbers are not good. He's really barely pitched in Major League Baseball. I just don't know that I could really buy it, but Pittsburgh has also never faced him before. So a lot of times these pitchers will have a little bit of an edge against these hitters that have never seen them before. So Griffin is really a mystery to me. Braxton Ashcraft, though, I think he is the better pitcher, you would have to say, just based on how his career has gone. He's a younger pitcher, and he's pitching well this year. 2.12 ERA, 1 whip. He's got a 20-5 strikeout walk ratio, which is way better than Griffin's 12-6. And unlike Griffin, Ashcraft's walk numbers have gone way down since he walked too many guys in his first outing. He's only walked 1, along with 17 strikeouts in his last 11 innings. He's pretty much on fire right now. I think his ceiling is clearly way higher. He could be a pretty good pitcher, man. He seems to be really coming into form, and maybe his career is starting to take off a little bit. And he also is totally unfamiliar to Washington, so he has that same advantage where they've never seen Ashcraft before. This is not one of my plays, but I'm going to lean to Pittsburgh again in this one. I think they will probably also show up because you'd rather win the series than split the series. They're at minus 149 on the money line, but I think they have the better starting pitcher here and the better bullpen. So Pittsburgh is where I would go here. 77% of tickets, 87% of the cash on them. And I think Ashcraft, I think you're still getting him at a decent price, really, because people still don't really realize that he's good. And I made a mistake because, I'm a Bubba Chandler fan. I think Ashcraft right now is probably better than Bubba Chandler. So Ashcraft may be the second best starting pitcher in this Pittsburgh rotation. Maybe Merrill Kelly, but yeah, that's the way I would go. Kyle, what's up? Tyson, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yes, you're back. Where have you been, man? Eating Tyson chicken? Probably working, I assume, at the Tyson Chicken Factory. ESPN Unlimited and MLB has this next game at 12:40 p.m. Eastern. This is one of my plays, actually, between San Francisco and Cincinnati. Cincinnati is looking for the sweep here, so I think that probably means you'll get an extra effort out of the Giants here because they're trying to avoid the sweep. The Reds could possibly overlook them, but the Reds only play Minnesota next. I don't know if that's that big of a deal, although Minnesota was really hot until yesterday. Let's bring up the play here. Why not? This is one of the 2 best bets. So we got some afternoon action here. We're going under in this game. This is my total, under 8, even though we're in Great America Ballpark in the afternoon, which I know it's a hitter-friendly ballpark. I get it. The temperature's starting to get warm. We're still going to fade it, though. It looks like the weather might be weird in this game. It looks like there's lightning projected here, so I guess there's a potential this game might get delayed or rained out or something, but I think that will help us potentially with an under here. The fact that it's maybe going to be some odd weather here, that might maybe keep the balls out of, keep the balls in the ballpark, I should say. 74 degrees, kind of a normal temperature there. As far as bullpen usage yesterday, Cincinnati used 3 relief pitchers, pretty normal usage, and San Francisco, I think, had pretty similar. Yeah, they used 3 as well. So I think we're fine with leaving the bullpens in here. If you wanted to go first 5 innings, you could do that as well and get maybe a 4 on this thing. But I'm going to extend it to the full game and hope that we get good starts that kind of get us through more than 5 innings here, which I think is possible with this starting pitching matchup here, because obviously if I'm going under here, I like the starting pitching matchup. The bullpens, Cincinnati has actually been a good bullpen so far. Where are they at? They've actually fallen off a little bit. They're 13th in WHIP, but their ERA is one of the best. So their bullpen has been pitching pretty well, even though they're in a not very conducive ballpark to that. San Francisco, not off to a great start bullpen-wise. They are 20th right now, but based on the fact they have a lot of the same guys from last year, I don't think they're a bad bullpen. So I think we're okay with rolling with the bullpens here. And the offenses have stunk on both sides. They're 26th and 27th, respectively, here, Cincinnati and San Francisco. So both offenses have been very bad to start the season. And, yeah, maybe they'll turn it around. I mean, there is some talent in these lineups, but these are some pretty cold offenses right now. And I think it might stay that way here with this starting pitching matchup. Landon Raup is pitching for the Giants. I think he's a guy that's still going under the radar, man. He's got a nasty curveball. 3.24 ERA, 1.14 WHIP this season, 18-5 strikeout walk ratio, more than 1 strikeout per inning, and fewer than 1 hit per inning. That's all pretty good. He had 1 bad start in there against the Mets, bounced right back with a pretty good one against Baltimore last time out, allowing 1 earned run in 6 innings, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 5 hits allowed. Decent start from him there. Yeah, I mean, he's off and running, man, and the other good thing about him is he has more ground balls than fly balls induced so far, which I think these are just the outs, but yeah, that's also good for a ballpark like this. You want a guy that's going to keep the ball on the ground. You want a guy with low balls. I think I have that, actually. Do I? Yeah. Oh, no, long balls.
I would definitely recommend switching to a style of underwear with no fly.
No fly zone? Is that what you're telling me?
No fly zone. That's a popular brand.
I'm not wearing that underwear. Okay?
You got to do it, man. You got long balls, Larry. Long balls. You got long-ass balls.
I've got long balls?
Doctor, you seen his balls, right?
Would you say my balls are unusually long?
They're a bit more distended than the average testicles.
You got long-ass balls, Larry. Long ball Larry. That's your new name.
I've got long balls. Who the hell knew?
Long balls. Change the draws.
Okay, fine.
We don't want long balls here. We do not. We want low balls, which means no long balls. That's what we want here. You're broke. You should be tuning in, man, because I could have helped you solve that problem with this run that I'm on right now. But anyway, Raup, yeah, he's a good pitcher to have in a ballpark like this because he is going to be inducing some ground balls and some soft contact and stuff like that. So that's what you want in a home run conducive park. And he's been good against the Reds. They only have 14 at-bats against him, so not even their entire lineup has faced him before. 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, but he's held them to a 214 average and 624 OPS. Yeah, a couple of doubles in here. Spencer Steer has been the only guy that's hit him, really. But I think, yeah, it's a decent matchup for Raup there. He's a little bit unfamiliar to them. I think he's under the radar. I think both of these pitchers are under the radar right now. So I like how Raup matches up, but I like Burns even more. Chase Burns is pitching for the Reds. Not Corbin Burns. I don't know when that guy's coming back. Arizona might need him. Burns, 3.31 ERA so far this year. 1.29 WHIP is not good. I know that's a bit high, but Burns has a ton of upside, dude. He's a massive, he's a major strikeout pitcher. He throws really hard. He's got well over 1 strikeout per inning so far. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. Problem is 8 walks in 16 1/3. He needs to not be this wild. He did have one really good start against Texas where he walked 1 And despite the 3 walks in his first start, he shut out Pittsburgh for 5 innings. He's coming off one bad start against Anaheim. I think he's going to bounce back. I think that's more of a blip. He really does come in and just, pretty much mow guys down with his fastball and some of his other pitches that he has there. I think he's going to bounce back here. I know his bad start was in the stadium at home, but he's going up against a Giants lineup that has not been able to do a ton of damage here, and the Giants have never faced him before. Although I think maybe that was the case with Anaheim as well, but more often than not, that is going to be an advantage to the pitcher. And I think a pitcher like him, where he's already off and running, he's already got some good starts, already has some confidence here. I don't think a start like that is going to totally obliterate his confidence. I think he's going to be more likely to actually bounce back here. So I like this. And again, being unfamiliar to the opposing lineup, I think is going to help him. So I think they're going to struggle to figure him out early on. So we're going to go under in this game. The money seems to be agreeing with me. The total's dropped a bit from 8.5 to 8. You might find an 8.5 still. It's pretty much out there in no man's land here. Doesn't really matter between 8.5 and 8. Hopefully it should not. 57% of tickets and 66% of the cash on the under. So the money is indicating on the under. And for what it's worth, the money's also coming in on the Reds at minus 123. 59% of tickets, 81% of the cash on the Reds. What I will say is, the Reds probably do have a current bullpen advantage, although I'm not sure the bullpen advantage is really that big. You probably could leave the bullpen in if you want to go with them. I think their biggest advantage is with Burns on the mound, though. So maybe Reds' first 5 inning makes sense, but I hesitate to want to play them on the side because, again, I think you will get a big effort out of the Giants trying to avoid the sweep here. And I think the Giants are probably a little bit undervalued right now given how bad their record looks. I don't think they're that bad. So those are my thoughts on that game. Yes, thank you, sir. All right. I don't know where Zach is at, but Kansas City Royals are trying to avoid a sweep as well at the hands of the Detroit Tigers, who seem to be turning it around. I think Detroit is the best team in this division. They've won 5 in a row. Maybe Detroit starts looking ahead because they do play my Boston Red Sox tomorrow. So that is kind of a bigger series. Red Sox always have that name recognition. Being on the verge of a sweep here like this, it is possible that Detroit overlooks KC, even though Detroit has had 2 close calls in this series. Both games have finished 2-1. So maybe they won't totally overlook them, but I started up this handicap kind of looking towards the Royals here. Looking at the hitting here, though, Royals have been bad, kind of just like last year. Royals are a bottom 3 OPS team so far. That's not good for them. Detroit is the better offense. I think that's pretty much not in question, although Detroit has not been great to start the season. They're middle of the pack right now. Detroit does have the better bullpen this season as well. They're middle of the pack bullpen-wise. Kansas City's bullpen is really, really not done well, which kind of surprises me because that was one of their positives last year, is their pitching was pretty good all around last year, including the bullpen. This year, it's been really bad. They have the 3rd worst bullpen based on whip, so that's not good, obviously. I think we're looking at probably having to give Detroit a bullpen edge right now, although Kansas City only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, and they only used Lynch for 4 pitches. He's kind of a long relief type of guy. Detroit, at least I think they still use him that way. Detroit did use 3 relief pitchers, including their closer, though. So Jansen, their closer, has been used 2 games in a row. So that's not great for Detroit because that means he's unavailable in this game. So that is one negative for Detroit there. Chris Bubich is pitching for Kansas City. He's been good so far this season, just like he was early last season. 2.5 ERA, 0.83 whip. I do still think he's a little bit overrated, but can't really argue with what he's done so far. He's allowed way fewer than 1 hit per inning. 8 hits in 18 innings. Pretty much unhittable. 23 strikeouts in that span, too. And then 7 walks is kind of too high, but he did get the walks down in his last outing, which was a really good 7-inning shutout performance. 2 hits allowed against the White Sox with 11 strikeouts and 1 walk. Although the White Sox are a putrid offense, but still very, very good outing from him. He's in pretty good form right now, and his numbers are good against Detroit as well. In 51 at-bats, 18-4 strikeout walk ratio, 196 batting average allowed. 564 OPS. So I do think Bubic, he looks like he's in good form right now. He didn't start doing poorly last year until he got named to the All-Star team and then tailed off later in the season. I think he matches up pretty well here. I think he's pretty clearly the better starter here going up against Keeter Montero, although he's pitched well so far this season. 1.74 ERA, 0.68 whip for Detroit, although I think he's much more of a mediocre pitcher. He's made 2 appearances so far this year. I think only 1 start, but we had him in that start. We won with Detroit in that game, although they didn't give us a lot of run support here. But Montero had a 6-inning shutout against Miami in that game, so he did look good with a lot of strikeouts too. So 7 to 1 walk, 2 hits allowed. All that was good. He's a mediocre pitcher, though, man. I mean, we've seen him pitch for a few years now. Bubic is definitely the better pitcher. Montero doesn't have great numbers against KC, either in 31 at-bats, 2.2 strikeout walk ratio, 290 batting average allowed, 785 OPS. Not the greatest, so I like Kansas City in this one. I'm tempted to actually add this to my card. I don't know, man. I mean, the matchup seems pretty good to me here. I don't know. Maybe I don't really want to fade Montero in his current form, but 55% of tickets, 62% of the cash on Kansas City. They flipped to a minus 113. I might consider doing it first 5, though, even though I know Kansas City is going to give you effort to try to avoid the sweep here. If you go full game, Detroit pretty much has their closer unavailable, though, like I said, so that does help Kansas City a little bit, but Kansas City's bullpen has been so bad that I think first 5 innings makes more sense and just focus on Bubic over Montero, which I think is the biggest edge Kansas City has today. So that is probably what I would do. Kansas City first 5 innings. This one has not made my card. I think I'm going to leave it off, but yeah, I like that one. I think if I was going to add any other one, it would be that. Anaheim at the Yankees. Anaheim has not decided on a starting pitcher yet, as far as I can see. Yankees are a huge favorite here. Yankees have been getting some scares in this series, man. They've won 2 out of 3 games in the series, but they had to come back in the 9th inning in the first one. They got crushed in the second one, and then they had to win on a walk-off last night. So they've won on 2 walk-offs in this series, but maybe that will kind of scare them into more focus here. I don't know. They're not going to be looking ahead to the Royals, I don't think, which is who the Yankees start playing tomorrow. As far as the bullpens are concerned, bullpen usage yesterday, Anaheim used 2 relief pitchers, which is not bad. The Yankees used 4. So Anaheim has a little bit of a rest edge in the bullpen, but Anaheim's bullpen isn't good. They're 25th right now in bullpen whip, which is pretty bad. Yankees haven't been great. The Yankees are 18th, but still, Yankees better bullpen, but maybe negated a little bit by the fact that they're not as rested. So, yeah, the bullpen's maybe kind of a little bit of a wash. They're both sort of bullpens you kind of want to fade right now. Obviously, I would say the Yankees have the better offense, even though that hasn't been the case so far this season. You know who they have in their lineup, man. They're sitting at 20th right now in OPS. Anaheim is a little bit above that, I think. Where's Anaheim at? Why don't I see them? I don't even see them. Oh, they're way up at 8th. So Anaheim's been hitting well, but I still don't even know if I buy that. I think at the very least, you could say that the Yankees' offense is not as bad as they've looked so far. I think they're probably better than Anaheim's, which, again, that's part of the reason why you see the Yankees being a massive favorite here. But the other reason is Max Fried is on the mound. He is the Yankees' ace. 1.93 ERA, 0.75 whip this season. He's pitching well, obviously. 20-5 strikeout walk ratio. His strikeout rate is not that high, but he's only allowed 16 hits in 28 innings. Low walk rate as well. Didn't walk anybody in his last outing, even though they lost the game at Tampa Bay. But we pretty much know who he is. He's obviously one of the top pitchers in baseball. Against Anaheim, he's only faced them for 17 at-bats, so they're not even that familiar with him, believe it or not. Mostly, I think, because Fried has been in the National League for a lot of his career. 176 batting average allowed to them and 535 OPS. Fried does appear to match up pretty well here. I don't know who Anaheim's going to have on the mound here, but it's probably not going to be good. So I would probably be looking towards, you could lay a run line on the Yankees, but I think maybe what you would want to, well, I don't know, because you don't really want to not include Fried in your handicap. You know what I mean? That's one of the big advantages the Yankees have in this game. I don't know, man. I think you're paying too much of a price for the Yankees. Because I was going to say you could go over their team total, but then you're not giving yourself the advantage of having Fried factored into your handicap. You could do like a pitcher prop or something, maybe do one of those things where it's, Fried to record a certain number of outs, although I don't know how high that number might be. But you go with Fried to like get deep enough into this game, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the Yankees are going to win. I would probably lean to them on the side, still would be a run line play, but you need them to win by multiple runs in the game at home, and they might not bat in the ninth inning, so that's kind of the issue there. Toronto at Milwaukee. This has been an interesting series. The teams have split the series so far. Milwaukee finally ended their 8-game losing streak, I think is what it was yesterday. Or no, 6-game losing streak, whatever it was. They ended it yesterday. They're not the Mets. The Mets are on like an 8 or 9-game losing streak. Milwaukee finally did it. I did say I leaned to Milwaukee yesterday. They were able to get it done with the win yesterday. I think both teams are going to show up for this. It's a pretty big series. The series is split right now, but Milwaukee did end that negative momentum, so that's a good thing for Milwaukee. Like when you end a long losing streak, a lot of times that will carry over with some new positive momentum. Milwaukee used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Toronto also used 3. Toronto's bullpen has not been good this season, though. They've actually moved up a little bit. They're at 17th. Their ERA is still pretty bad bullpen-wise, though. I arrange it by whip because I think it's a better indicator. But if you look at their ERA is worse than 17th, which is where they are in whip. The Brewers are actually worse in whip, but they're better in ERA. I think the Brewers do have the slightly better bullpen out of the two. I'm going to give the Brewers a slight bullpen edge here. Brewers' offense has been better. Part of it because Dodgers have been dealing with Blue Jays. Sorry, the other World Series team from last year. Blue Jays have been dealing with injuries, man. Springer is hurt, although he hadn't been hitting well anyway. Kirk has been injured. I don't even know if he's back. But as far as, what these teams have been doing offensively so far, the Brewers have been the better offense. They're at 12th right now in OPS, and the Blue Jays are at 16th, which isn't that much worse. But I think the Brewers, probably the better offense, especially their offense is particularly good at home. Toronto's going with Patrick Corbin on the mound, though. That is probably not a good thing. He's only made 1 start so far this season, but it wasn't good. 9 ERA, 1.75 whip. I mean, he's a guy that I kept saying his career was over for multiple years, even though he's not that old at 36, but he had some really, really bad seasons. And then Texas pretty much got the most out of him when he was with Texas last year, but he doesn't have that pitching coach staff with him anymore. So he's not off to a good start for Toronto. That was against Minnesota. Minnesota's been hitting well, but I still don't think Minnesota's offense is good. Take from that what you want to. Corbin is kind of an extreme fly ball pitcher, I think, too, which is not something that I like. I think he pretty much stinks. Against the Brewers, his numbers are actually not that bad, though. In 34 at-bats, 8-1 strikeout walk ratio, 265 average allowed, 668 OPS. Those are not bad numbers. He's going up against Brandon Sproat, who the Brewers got him, I believe, in a trade from the Mets. He was one of the Mets' pitching prospects. Hasn't done well at all for the Brewers so far, though. 10.45 ERA, 2.32 whip. These are really, really bad numbers. A 10-10 strikeout walk ratio in 10 in the third innings. What are we doing here, man? He's given up 4 home runs and 14 hits and more than 1 run an inning all across that span as well. And he's faced the White Sox, the Royals, and then the Nationals. I know the Nationals have hit well so far this year, and that was actually his least bad start. This is not good, man, if he's getting lit up by these fairly weak offenses, except for Washington, I guess. Not good. Nothing about this looks good except for the fact that he's unfamiliar to Toronto. So maybe that'll give him a little bit of an advantage there because they haven't seen him. But this looks like a disgustingly bad pitching matchup here. I like the over in this game. That's the way I would go here. As far as the side, the money is coming in on Milwaukee for some reason. Corbin might be that bad, man. Maybe Sproat does have a little bit of an advantage where I think Sproat at least has upside. You know what I mean? Like, he can't be this bad, and he's still way younger than Corbin. Corbin, we know what he is, and we know that he stinks. Like, Sproat at least could actually turn into a decent pitcher. Maybe he needs to be kissed by a princess. Kissed by a pitcher, actually. 66% of tickets, 77% of the cash on Sprout here, on Milwaukee, I should say. They flipped to a minus 126 favorite. I would go over in this game probably, though. I don't want to deal with the side in this one at all. I think both pitchers, they're in bad form right now. I don't expect much out of either pitcher. I think the offenses have the edge in this game. The bullpens haven't been great either. 91% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the over. Total did flip to 8.5 juice to the under, though. But that total does remain kind of in no man's land. And it's not going to get to that key number of 9. So you can go over the 8.5 there. That would be my opinion in that game, would be to go over. I actually like that one a bit as well. That one's not on my card, but yeah, that probably, I would go Kansas City first 5 innings and over in Toronto, Milwaukee would be the two that I would add in that order if I was going to add any. Tampa Bay at the White Sox. White Sox are trying to avoid a sweep here, so they might have extra motivation here. White Sox really, really have been struggling in various ways, though, especially offensively. Now, Tampa Bay might overlook them. Tampa Bay starts a series with Pittsburgh tomorrow. I don't know if that's that big a deal or not, but they might take Chicago lightly because they've already beaten them twice. So I don't know if I love Tampa Bay here, but as we go into this game, we are going to see that Tampa does have multiple advantages in this game matchup-wise. I mean, obviously they do. They're the better team. Tampa Bay used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. White Sox used 2, so the White Sox have a more rested bullpen. I don't know how much that's going to matter. Both bullpens have actually been bad this season. The White Sox bullpen is 4th worst in bullpen whip, and Tampa's is like 7th worst. So both these bullpens have been bad. They're both bullpens that you want to fade right now. White Sox have been the absolute worst offense OPS-wise behind the Mets. The Mets have to turn it around, man. But the White Sox, I think, are legitimately a bad offense. Tampa Bay has hit well so far. They're 5th in offense. They do have a pretty big offensive edge, even though I don't think their offense is quite that good, but definitely significantly better than the White Sox. Steven Matz is pitching for Tampa Bay. They've turned him back into a starter after he was a reliever for multiple seasons. He looks pretty good so far, though. 3.94 ERA, 0.94 whip. He's gotten a win in every one of his starts so far. That's good. Pitched well against the Yankees last time out. Got a win in that one, obviously. Went 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. Pretty good stuff. They seem to be limiting his pitch count a little bit, trying to keep him fresh as a bit of an older pitcher there to some degree. 17-5 strikeout walk ratio in 16 innings. Pretty high strikeout rate. That's good. The walk rate's not that high. 10 hits allowed is also a low amount of hits. He's been good, dude. Against the White Sox, I don't really see that changing. 19 at-bats. They don't have a huge sample size against him. 4-1 strikeout walk ratio, 263 average, 702 OPS. Those numbers are not out of control in any way. They're fine numbers. I think Motts should do pretty well here. The White Sox are going with a bullpen game because they have Jordan Leisure listed as their starter. Is he British? I don't know. It's time for a bit of leisure. 4 ERA, 1 whip for him, but I don't really think we need to go into his stats that much because he's probably only going to be in there for 1 inning, 1 1/3, whatever. He hasn't gone deeper than that in any of his outings so far, so he will be an opener here. I don't know what the White Sox plan to follow him up with because their bullpen blows, so doesn't look good to me. Chicago, the White Sox, they should get up for this game. I have not had a good gauge on the series. We lost with the White Sox in the first game. Yesterday, I stayed away from it. I thought Burke at least gave the White Sox some advantage early in that game. That didn't even happen. White Sox should have a motivational edge here, trying to avoid the sweep. That might not be enough, though. I think this is a pretty significant matchup edge to Tampa. The one advantage the White Sox might have is the bullpen, but maybe they don't even have a bullpen edge here. So I think I still have to lean to Tampa Bay. The money is agreeing with that. They're at minus 125, 66% of tickets, 93% of the cash on them. But I think Motts versus a White Sox bullpen game is a pretty big advantage for Tampa Bay, in addition to the big hitting edge they have. I'm just not sure that the White Sox are able to overcome it. Although it almost does look way too easy to play Tampa there. So, I don't know. I don't love that one, but slight lean for me to Tampa. Texas and the A's, they got us the over last night. The A's are on the verge of, no, not a sweep, actually. This is a 4-game series. I think I was going to say I thought they were going to sweep, but that's not the case because Texas won the first game, which we also had a win on. We won with Texas in that game. So my read on this series has actually been pretty good. And I think, did I give it a lean on the under in that second game? I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. That was that pitching matchup seemed pretty good. But anyway, the A's have won 2 of the 3 games here. They've won 2 in a row. Texas could possibly bounce back here, though, because Texas is the better team here. And after losing twice in a row here, they might be a little bit more motivated to get this thing and at least even up this series and salvage it. The A's do have some issues here. Their bullpen's not good, and they used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Texas used 4, but they only used Collier for 3 pitchers. But Texas has some issues injury-wise right now, man. Crivello got hurt the other day, if you saw that. It was a weird injury where, I don't know, he did something during his windup, landed wrong or something. It didn't look great, so he's injured. Chris Martin, the singer from Coldplay, he's injured right now as well. I wonder if when he's on the mound, if a couple gets caught having an affair on the Jumbotron whenever he's on the mound. I don't know, but he's out as well. Means Texas has to rely on my man Jalen Beeks, man. The guy who made his major league debut for the Red Sox, had a horrible game. I was at the game. Then he was gone like very shortly after that. He's been a reliever most of his career, but if you guys know the Toadstool Sports lore, the night after Beeks' major league debut, I did karaoke with his parents. and Beeks was not there, but his parents are karaoke fiends, and they were in Boston for his debut, obviously. And they were hanging out doing karaoke at the bar I was at, so there you go. All right. Anyway, and no, I did not recognize Jalen Beeks' parents after he'd made 1 major league start. They told me that's who they were, and I believed them. I mean, that would be a ridiculous thing to make up. But yeah, it was definitely them. All right. Anyway, this matchup here, we got to look at the overall stats here. The A's bullpen stinks. I mean, they're not as bad as some of these other bullpens we've talked about. 23rd, though, still pretty bad. Rangers clearly have the better bullpen. They're at 8th. They're starting to do quite well in the bullpen, although this series they've had some shaky moments out of the bullpen. I think last night was one of them. As far as the offense is concerned, I don't know how much I love either offense. A's are 24th right now. Rangers 21st. I think the A's do have the better offense, though, based on what we saw out of them last year. A lot of young, good hitters in that A's lineup. Texas, not really so much. Starting pitching, Jack Leiter is pitching for Texas. Very up and down season for him so far. 4.91 ERA, 1.36 whip. He did not have a good start in his last outing. In fact, it was his only bad start, but maybe you give him a pass because it was at the Dodgers. I thought he would do okay in that game, but you know that the Dodgers, they hit really well at home, so I think we got to give him a pass for that. He has 21 strikeouts in 14 2/3 innings so far. 6 walks is maybe a bit too many, but that is a very high strikeout rate. 14 hits allowed is not horrible. So overall, I think he's pretty good, man. He's just had 1 bad start on the road against the best lineup in baseball, so I think we're going to give him a pass for that. Against the A's, his numbers are not great, though. 40 at-bats, 13-6 strikeout walk ratio. That's not very good. 275 batting average allowed. It's a lot of strikeouts, though, again. 275 average, 895 OPS. None of those numbers are really that good, but I did look into it because this stadium is such an outlier of a stadium. I was like, did Leiter pitch there last year? In fact, he did. The question is, how well did he do in this stadium? Because you know this stadium is a very difficult stadium for pitchers to pitch in because it's some small minor league stadium. Balls fly out of this ballpark, and Leiter is kind of a fly ball pitcher, so that's not good. But I looked it up. He actually did well. Here it is. He pitched once here in August, so it was in a very hot part of the year. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs in the stadium last year. to the A's. Similar lineup, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. So I don't know where his bad numbers against these A's hitters came from, because that was a good start. He had another pretty good start at home against them last year. So both of his starts last year were pretty good, except for the fact that he walked 4 guys in the home start. But he got a win in both outings. He wasn't bad in this stadium, so I don't know if I really hate Leiter in this game here, man. Again, I don't know where those matchup numbers that we just saw came from, because a lot of those guys were involved in those games last year. Jacob Lopez is pitching 2 JLs in this game. J-Lo. We should call him J-Lo. It's J-Light against J-Lo in this game. Jacob Lopez pitching for the A's. He had an interesting season last year. He was getting a lot of strikeouts with his breaking pitches last year, but he has sucked this year. 7.43 ERA, 2.18 whip. These are really, really bad numbers. More walks than strikeouts as well. 13 walks to 11 strikeouts in 13 and third innings, on top of 16 hits allowed, 3 home runs allowed, and he's only made it 5 innings once. This is bad, obviously. Now, he's faced some lineups that can hit. Atlanta, Houston, Mets. Still, I don't think you could totally give him a pass for this. This is pretty bad stuff right here. And only one of those was in this hitter-friendly ballpark at home. His numbers are not that bad against the Rangers, though. In 20 at-bats, 9-6 strikeout walk ratio. That's not good, obviously. 200 batting average allowed, though. That's good. 757 OPS is a little bit high, but it's because it's a small sample size, and the numbers are kind of being skewed by Josh Young with a J, having a home run against him. Still, I don't trust Lopez here, man. I would lean to Texas here. I think Leiter is the better pitcher here, based on what we just looked at with the fact that he did well in this stadium last year, did well for the most part against the A's last year. Lopez, even given that Leiter didn't do well in his last start, I'm giving him a pass for it because it was against the Dodgers. Lopez has been bad all season so far. I would lean to the Rangers here. And, of course, the Rangers have a bullpen edge, too. So I would just go Rangers full game here. And the Rangers are in a bounce-back spot, too. So I really don't hate that. 80% of tickets, 97% of the cash on the Rangers. They're at minus 112. I like it. I agree with it. I agree with myself on that game. Rangers would be my lean in that game. Okay. Although, again, the matchup numbers against these specific hitters don't look great, which is kind of part of my hesitation with that. But, yeah, I like the Rangers there. What? If a team goes up by 2 at any point, but you have to put it on a specific game, that has to be a game before 3:05. Yankees. Yeah, I mean, the Yankees are the biggest favorite. We don't even know who Anaheim is putting out there as a pitcher. Max Fried should hold Anaheim down. Pretty good chance the Yankees are going to have a 2-run lead at some point there. Yeah, I would do it. I would do it with the Yankees. All right. Let me see here. Where are we at? Oh, Baltimore, Cleveland is next. All right, yeah. Cleveland, this is a weird one because these teams are actually shifting to a new series. This is the only start of a new series today. Very strange. Cleveland is returning home from a road trip. Not a week-long road trip. They went to Atlanta and St. Louis. That's not too bad. So it's not one of those long road trips where I'm like, we really have to fade this team, but it's still not a good spot when you return home from a road trip after being gone for almost a week. It can be a distraction. You got to get back to home life. You got stuff to do. It's still not a good spot. They're coming off a losing series to St. Louis. They lost both series on the road trip, actually. So I think the tendency is for bettors to think, well, they're going to bounce back here because they just lost 2 games in a row, ugly to a bad St. Louis team. The tendency for the bettors is going to be Cleveland's going to bounce back now that they're at home. That's not the way that it works, though. Like, this can definitely be a distracted spot here, whereas for Baltimore, they just lost the series to Arizona, although I think they did go to extra innings last night, so they're going to be a little bit less rested because they had to go to extra innings, but they are starting – it was only 10 innings, though. But they're starting a road trip, so starting a road trip usually is a focused spot. So I think the situation does favor Baltimore. The matchup, though, I'm going to say does not really favor Baltimore, though. At least not the starting pitching matchup. Baltimore, 5 relief pitchers used yesterday. That's not good. Cleveland used 3, so Cleveland has a more rested bullpen here. Cleveland's bullpen hasn't been very good, though. Their ERA is really bad. They're 19th in WHIP, which is really weird because their bullpen really was good last year, even though they lost 2 guys out of their bullpen, including their closer, Clase, because of gambling last year. Their bullpen still continued to pitch well. This year, they haven't been, though. So maybe Cleveland's bullpen isn't very good. I don't know, man. But, yeah, they haven't been great this season. They've been middle of the pack, though, so their ERA may be a little bit misleading. Baltimore's bullpen has been better. Baltimore actually second in bullpen WHIP right now, although their ERA is a little bit higher than that. Baltimore's bullpen has been good, though, this season. So I think Baltimore does have a bullpen edge, except their bullpen's less rested here. So that does cut into that a little bit. Baltimore has had the better offense. I don't think that's that surprising. I think they do have the better hitters. Not by much as far as the OPS. They're 9th. Cleveland is 14th. But I think Baltimore does have the better offense. I don't think Baltimore has the better starter. Shane Baz is pitching, 4.5 ERA, 1.56 WHIP. That WHIP is definitely too high. 13-5 strikeout walk ratio, along with 20 hits allowed in 16 innings. Not great. Mediocre pitcher, man. I mean, he does seem like he has some good strikeout stuff at times, but he's too much of a fly ball pitcher. He's been... Yeah, I mean, his numbers just across the board just haven't been good enough. Going up against Cleveland here, he does have good numbers against Cleveland, though. 30 at-bats, 12-2 strikeout walk ratio is quite good. 200 batting average allowed, 517 OPS. So I would not count out Baz in this specific matchup. However, he's going up against Parker Messick, who has been really good in his career so far, man. He showed some real signs last year. This year, he looks really good. 0.51 WHIP, 0.51 ERA, 0.91 WHIP. 16-5 strikeout walk ratio. He's only allowed 1 run in 17 2/3 innings, 11 hits allowed, including games on the road against the Dodgers, on the road against the Braves, and at home against the Cubs. Good stuff, man. Although, granted, his worst start was actually the one at home. I don't know if maybe, the nerves got to him a little bit pitching at home. I'm not sure, but he did walk 3 guys, and that was the only start where he gave up a run at home against the Cubs. But still, I think he's absolutely good, man. We got a win with him against the Braves. I gave that out as a winner on the show during this hot streak in his last outing. I think he should do well again here. He's in good form, going up against the Orioles, I believe, or is it the Orioles? Yeah, they've never seen him before, I'm pretty sure. Actually, Blaze Alexander, former Red Sox prospect that they traded for Steven Matz, I think, and now he's gone from St. Louis, and Matz is also gone from the Red Sox, so these guys have been all over the place. I think that was Blaze Alexander. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Blaze Alexander's 0 for 3 with a strikeout off of Messick, and he's the only guy that's faced him before. Yeah, I think Messick does match up all right here. I like him in this game. I don't love the rest of what Cleveland's got going on here. Cleveland's at minus 122, 79% of tickets, 96% in the cash on Cleveland. The money's coming in on Cleveland. If I was going to go Cleveland, I'd probably do it in the first 5 innings because I think they have a starting pitching edge, but I don't like the situation. Like I said, they're returning home from a road trip, so I don't love that. So I think I actually do slightly lean towards Baltimore overall in this game. I'd probably make that a full game situation because I think Baltimore has a bullpen edge here, even though their bullpen's not as rested. Baz, I mean, based on his matchup numbers, he does at least have the ability to duel with Messick here, although I think Messick is better than he is. So those are my thoughts on that game. There are some arguments to be made for an under in that game, I suppose, as well. 69% of tickets and 79% of the cash on the over, though. Money somewhat coming in towards the over, but with Baz, his matchup numbers, Messick being unfamiliar. Under, actually, first 5 innings is probably what I would do because I don't really want to deal with an unrested Baltimore bullpen and a not great Cleveland bullpen. Under first 5 innings could be worth a look in that game. Colorado at Houston. Houston is on the verge of a sweep. I mean, not totally surprising here. The Houston has bounced back against a very bad Colorado team. Houston, will they look ahead to St. Louis? I'm going to guess no. St. Louis isn't that good, but Houston still might overlook Colorado after beating them twice, although they were kind of close games, so maybe they will take Colorado seriously here. Bullpen usage, Colorado used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Houston used 3. Houston's bullpen has been absolutely horrible. I think Colorado actually has a bullpen edge here, as I've said throughout the series, even though I don't think their bullpen is really that good. They're 9th, though, overall in bullpen whip, which is not bad. Houston is dead last in bullpen whip and second worst in ERA, very close with Washington there. Very, very bad bullpen for Texas so far, or for Houston, excuse me. Texas is good. Houston's is bad so far this season. Starting pitching, it says it's Juan Mejia here for Colorado. I'm not sure if that means maybe he's going to be an opener for them because that's kind of what he's done. So I don't really want to go into his numbers too much because whenever he's pitched, he's gone at most 2 innings. So he could be an opener here. But the listed starter over here on pregame, which is usually more correct, is – oh, no, it is Mejia now because they did have Sugano listed, though. And that was the thing. So I looked at Mejia, and I'm like, well, he's not good. He has a 5.4 ERA, 1.8 whip. His numbers against Houston are awful. 17 at-bats, 353 batting average allowed, 950 OPS. It's a small sample, but not good numbers. 2.2 strikeout walk ratio. But it seems to me like he's not going to be in the game for very long. I think he's going to be an opener in front of Sugano because Sugano was the listed starter here, and he's not hurt as far as I know. So I think Sugano is actually going to come in. I think Mejia is going to pitch 1 inning, which may not be a good thing. And then Sugano is going to come in and pitch after that. Sugano has actually been good so far for the Rockies. 2.16 ERA, 0.78 whip. Because when I was looking at this at first, I'm like, oh, Mejia is going to be pitching. I was thinking an over makes a lot of sense in this game, but I'm a lot less bullish on the over. Sugano is going to come in and pitch like 5 innings here. I would not like the over nearly as much because he's actually pitched pretty well so far this season. And against Houston, they only have 1 hitter. Correa is the only guy who's faced him before, and he's 0 for 1. I think he must have faced him when he was on the Twins. So Sugano actually does have a decent matchup against them. Houston has never faced him before, pretty much. So I think Sugano is coming into this game because he was the listed starter. So I hate these openers, man, because then you don't know. It's so hard to handicap because it's like, is it going to be a bullpen game? Like, you don't know who's going to come in after that guy pitches 1 inning. You know what I mean? So that's really difficult to gauge. Houston is using Ryan Weiss, which does not seem like a good idea. I mean, he's a relief pitcher. He's probably going to be an opener here. 7.36 ERA, 2.09 whip this season. He's been part of this bullpen catastrophe that Houston has going on here. I don't expect much out of him, man. He might pitch a few innings here, maybe. Probably not going to be a good thing. And Colorado actually has seen him 17 at-bats worth, 4-2 strikeout walk ratio, 471 average, allowed 1350 OPS. All that looks bad. Houston's a huge favorite at minus 180. There's no way they should be a favorite like that. Now, if Weiss is going to be in there for a few innings and then it's going to be a Houston bullpen game after that, and it's going to be Sugano pitching like 5 innings in the middle of this game for Colorado, I would lean to Colorado in this game if that's what's going to happen here. And you might have to play it action because I think there is still the possibility that Sugano is actually just going to start. I have no idea. So if you do want Colorado, really if you want to play this game at all, because I think we kind of know that it's either going to be Sugano starting or he'll come in and pitch the majority of this game behind Mejia. I think probably playing this game as action does make sense because I think we know that's what Colorado's doing here. 79% of tickets are on Houston, 60% of the cash on Colorado. I agree with Colorado here. Like, you could take them split bet, run line, money line here. I mean, there's no way that Houston should be minus 180 with Weiss as the listed starter. It just shouldn't happen. It can't happen. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and I still do kind of lean to the over in this game. Money's really pouring in on the under, though, which is insane. 80% of tickets on the over and 97% of the cash on the under. Public seems to like the over because it's a Houston game. They've been hitting well, but I do see a lot of arguments still for it. But Sugano does temper my expectations there. Like, if it was not Sugano, I would be like, yeah, the over makes a ton of sense here. With him pitching, it makes less sense to me. I could see an argument for Colorado over their team total. That actually seems pretty good because you'll probably only need Colorado to score, like 3 runs in the game? Maybe that seems pretty good to me, man. Do you really think that Weiss plus a Houston bullpen game behind him is going to hold Colorado to like less than 3 runs? That's not going to happen. So Colorado over their team total makes a lot of sense in this game as well to me. So those are the ways that I would probably approach it. I would probably do Colorado like a +1 run line or make your own one of those, or Colorado over their team total. Those make the most sense to me in that game. That's not on my card, though. Seattle at San Diego. I told you I have 2 plays, so you know this is the last game here. Pinsey is going on Tuesday. You're going on Wednesday. Red Sox, Yankees. Red Sox just better get some wins in that series, man. That's all I got to say. Happy with the result yesterday. Happy with Early's performance yesterday. We had a win on that game as well, so I like that, but it's not good enough, man. The Red Sox need to do a lot more. I still think they got to fire Cora and Andrew Bailey. I mean, with the talent that they have on this team, they should not be performing like this. So coaching is really the issue there. All right. Last game, this is the best bet because I told you I have dude, have I had the San Francisco and Cincinnati under banner up the whole time? I apologize. My mistake. Yeah. Whoops. This is going to be the best bet. But
inside, I want to kill myself.
I accidentally played that drop, but I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll just play it anyway. The Patino. We missed college basketball already. But yes, the last best bet is going to be Seattle on the money line against San Diego. I like this for a bunch of reasons. First of all, Seattle's favored, and the money is agreeing with this very strongly, although this could change by the time the game happens, but Seattle's -115 right now, so you might be able to find better than -120. 52% of the tickets on San Diego, 84% of the cash on Seattle. The money, it seems like there's a ticket cash disparity here because Seattle, the public is just kind of off of them a little bit right now because they haven't been playing well. So the public is really recency bias. Like, what have you done for me recently, Seattle hasn't done much for them recently. And San Diego's been really hot. They look really good right now. But there's a reason why, why is Seattle favored as the team with the lesser record? You know what I mean? The odds makers are telling you that Seattle is either the better team or at least better in this specific matchup, and I agree with that. So we're going to start diving into this in a second here. But yeah, you see a matchup like this, Seattle at 8-11, San Diego 12-6. It looks insane to be getting San Diego as an underdog. I think the odds makers are absolutely telling you something with that. And yes, I know the Mariners have been terrible on the road. I get it. Their pitchers don't do as well on the road, but lucky for them, San Diego is a pitcher-friendly park, just like Seattle is. So it should be easier, at least for Seattle's pitchers, to adapt to this ballpark, even though I know Seattle's lost both games in the series so far, but that's going to factor into my handicap as well. But yes, Seattle's 1-7 on the road so far. I get it. That's not good. San Diego's 8-4 at home. I understand. Yeah, the home road splits, just based on what these teams have done, look like they favor San Diego, sure. San Diego's won 7 games in a row, but here's the thing, man. The majority of those games were against the Rockies. They swept the Rockies in a 4-game series. I'm not gonna weigh that too heavily. Yeah, I think San Diego's a fine team, but I don't think they're as good as people think they are right now. Seattle's going to show up with extra motivation here, and San Diego might take them a little bit more lightly because San Diego's on the verge of a sweep here, so I like taking teams to avoid the sweep, especially when I think they're either the better team or they have the matchup advantage and they're the favorite. That's what we have going on here. Now, I know Seattle lost in dramatic fashion last night. Seattle was winning that game 6-2, I think, in the 9th inning. And they lost the game. I'm pretty sure San Diego put up a 5 spot in the 9th inning. So it was a dramatic finish. But the good things about that are, yeah, that could cause Seattle to be hung over after they should have won that game. But the good things are San Diego had to put in a ton of effort to win that game. It was a dramatic walk-off win that was unexpected. So San Diego could be in a letdown spot after that. And what it means is Seattle was much better in that game than it looks, right? Because you see, San Diego won this game, but they probably over-celebrated because they won it with a 5 spot in the 9th inning. But if you look at what was happening in that game, Seattle dominated the game. Seattle was I liked San Diego in that game, so I did get that one wrong. Even though San Diego won, I was wrong about that game. But I mostly lean to the under in this game, and it was looking good until later in the game as well. So the under didn't happen either, but it wasn't as high scoring as it looked because it was a 5-run 9th inning for San Diego. But Seattle was winning the whole game, dude. Second inning on, they had a 6-0 lead, 6-2 lead going into the 9th inning. Yeah, Seattle, pretty good bullpen. No excuse for blowing that game, but it's a misleading final is what I'm trying to say. Seattle was better in that game than it looks. As far as the bullpen usage, San Diego used 3 relievers yesterday. Most of their better relievers are available tonight, though, but we're still fading them. Seattle did use 4, I know, and they did use a couple of their better relievers, so I am a little bit worried about Seattle's bullpen here, but they do still have a good bullpen. San Diego probably has a slight bullpen edge, but I don't think it's that huge. And again, we're rolling with the motivation here as well, though. If you want to go with Seattle first 5 innings and exclude the bullpens just because of the usage, you could do that as well, but I'm still just going to go full game on this. San Diego is a good bullpen, no doubt about it. They have one of the best, 4th, including the best closer who is available tonight. But I'm hoping Seattle just has the lead and it doesn't even matter. Seattle has a good bullpen as well. They're 7th right now compared to the Padres being 4th. Offensively, I know Seattle has not turned it around yet. They're 25th, but they're looking at who they have in their lineup, you know their offense is better than that. They're not the 25th best offense. They're at least a middle-tier offense, man. Padres have moved up to a mid-tier offense. I think they are pretty much that. I think both these offenses are above average, I would say. It just hasn't really shown yet this season. This game's on MLB Network, by the way, so we are going to have a play in the big game of the night, the TV game. But a lot of this comes down to the starting pitching. Luis Castillo is pitching for the Mariners. And again, the public is not going to play on Seattle, even if they tend to like Seattle. Seattle hasn't been hitting, so they aren't going to want him for that reason. They're going to see Castillo's numbers, and they're not going to want him either. 6.92 ERA, 1.77 whip. I know he has awful numbers this season, but really one start, his most recent start, just totally threw everything off against Houston, which was at home, interestingly. But Houston, yeah, their offense has been really good so far, and they lit Castillo up. I don't know how that happened. I thought Seattle won the game anyway, but I thought Seattle was in position to win that game more easily than they did. They still won, but we know who Castillo is, dude. That's the thing. Like, he's not this bad, so I think that's more of a blip. I mean, he's a veteran pitcher. You pretty much know what you're going to get out of him, so I'm not that worried. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's in good form right now. He still has a 7-2 strikeout walk ratio this month, though, so I'm going to not really read too much into how bad his ERA is this month. And, yeah, I know he struggled a bit against Anaheim on the road in the game before that, too, but I think he's going to bounce back. I mean, again, he's a very experienced veteran pitcher with good career numbers, so I think he's going to be fine here. And his numbers against San Diego, and it is a pitcher-friendly park, and against San Diego, he has good numbers. It's 65 at-bats, 23-5 strikeout walk ratio, 200 average, allowed 519 OPS. I think he clearly has an advantage here. Just overall, he's the better pitcher career-wise, going up against Walker Buehler, but he also has the better matchup numbers against him. Walker Buehler, he's been okay this season, 4.97 ERA, 1.26 whip. That's not horrible. He pitched well in his last outing, which was his only good outing so far, but it was a shutout at home against Colorado. So I would say temper your expectations here, even though, yes, I realize he's in better form than Castillo is right now, but I don't think he's the better pitcher. His overall numbers, 11-5 strikeout walk ratio, that's still not impressive. Has given up fewer than 1 hit per inning, which is fine, but too many walks. Again, his only good start, the only one where he made it past more than 4 innings was that one against Colorado. Against Colorado in San Diego, I'm not going to put much weight into that. Against Seattle, he has not been good. In 40 at-bats, 9-7 strikeout walk ratio, Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, has dumped on him, 5 for 6 with 2 doubles and a home run against him. Overall, he's allowed a 325 average and 1,001 OPS against them. So that's not good. We're going to do it. We're going to go with Seattle with the motivational edge, trying to avoid the sweep. Starting pitching edge, I think, is pretty big here. Bullpens, I think, are at least comparable. Maybe slight negative for Seattle there, but we're going with Seattle here. I think, there's also a reason why they're favored, like I said. So the market read is in favor of this as well. Let's do it. We'll go with Seattle money line. And that's going to do it for baseball here today, man. I'm going to be back in a second. We'll talk about NHL, but it's not going to be terribly interesting because it's the last regular season day, and I got nothing for it. But we'll talk about it. It's 6 games. Maybe I'll give you guys some insight into it, but it's not anything that I want to have money on. I'll tell you that. I'll be back in a second. All right, NHL, and then, for some reason, dude, I think the NBA should just do games tonight, and then not go Friday. But I guess the way they set it up is that the teams that play tomorrow and play into the 8 and 7, play into the 8. I guess they're both playing for the 8 seeds. I think the way the NBA does it is they give the teams the day off tonight. One of those teams playing tomorrow does have an extra day of rest, though, or 2 of the teams do. Then one team in each game does. And then I think whichever teams win and play into the 8 seed, they don't play on Saturday, even though the playoffs start on Saturday. Probably those teams will play on Sunday, so they'll have a day of rest. I think that's what the NBA does. Anyway, NHL here. I'm going to close some of these MLB. I have a lot of tabs up when I do MLB, man. It's very statistical in nature. ESPN has a doubleheader. The first game up is St. Louis at Utah. I believe Utah is locked into the top wild card at this point because it matters a little bit because you want to avoid the Avalanche in the first round if you can, probably. So there is that, but I don't know. Utah might be locked into that spot anyway. So to me, it looks like there's not a lot of motivation here for Utah. They just beat Winnipeg in their last game. I don't know if that's that big of a deal either. St. Louis did just have a very satisfying win. They've won 3 games in a row now. They just beat Pittsburgh 7-5 in their last game, but it was a Pittsburgh team that I think was pretty much already locked in to where they're going to be playing, although I think they're still playing for home ice, though, in their series against Philadelphia. But, yeah, I mean, you could argue it's going to be a letdown, kind of a weird spot for St. Louis going into elevation here. It's a very cheap price on Utah, though, which we know Utah's the better team here. So I think the reason why they're down from -125 to -107 is that Utah must be resting players here, man. That's the only explanation there really is here. Like, they don't care about this game. They're trying to get ready for the playoffs. 70% of tickets, 72% of the cash on Utah. I don't want St. Louis either, though, man. The price seems almost too cheap on Utah here, which, again, it does mean the public is going to come in on Utah probably. But, yeah, I don't want anything to do with it. It does look like a throwaway game for Utah, though, so maybe a slightly into St. Louis there, but I don't want anything to do with it, like I said. Stop betting the Mets, dude. Did I have the Mets on my card in any of those games? I did not, even though I did have a lean on them a couple of times. But, yeah, I mean, leans, if I'm doing my job correctly, then the leans are not going to be as strong. Plus, the Mets are, I mean, they just had to play at the Dodgers. Like, I thought there was a chance maybe they could win one of those games at least there. But, yeah, I mean, I had some leans there, like I said, but wasn't strong enough. The Mets covered, though. The Mets covered one of the run lines in that game, at least. Oh, yeah, I already looked at that comment. Yes, you guys are going to Fenway this week. Anaheim at Nashville. Anaheim does have a little bit to play for here where they can get home ice. I believe they're going to be playing Edmonton in the first round of the playoffs. I believe that's determined now. Maybe that's not determined, actually, because the Kings are tied with Anaheim here. So I don't even know, man. So Anaheim actually could fall into the wild card still, I think. So Anaheim does actually have something to play for here. And home ice also matters. This is crazy that Edmonton, Anaheim, and the Kings are all still separated by 1 point. Yeah, that's kind of insane. And Utah doesn't matter because Utah's in the other division. So, yeah, I think Utah's pretty much locked into where they are. Yeah, this is weird. So it seems like Anaheim does have motivation in this game. Nashville is eliminated, and they might be in a dream crusher mode because they lost. They got eliminated in their most recent game. We had a win on that with San Jose on the show. Although Nashville, the good thing for them is maybe they'll show up because it's their final home game. They have a couple of days off, which is good for them. But I don't know, man. In dream crusher mode, when you thought you might make the playoffs, you do have the chance to play spoiler, though. They could spoil it for Anaheim by at least knocking them into the wild card, but maybe that's not enough. Anaheim has some pretty clear motivation here to me, though. Like avoiding the wild card, I think is still pretty big because, dude, Anaheim could have a home series in the first round of the playoffs, or they might have to go play Colorado on the road. And Anaheim's a much better home team, so that is a huge difference. So I think they should be motivated here. But Nashville's at minus 110, 50-50 on the tickets, 70% of the cash on Nashville. I don't like it, man. I mean, I guess the feeling is that, oh, well, the pressure will be on Anaheim, whatever, because they do actually have something to play for here. I don't know about that, though, because you're giving me Anaheim as like an underdog here. Like, I know I say when the pressure is on a team, I don't want them when they're like a big favorite, but when they're an underdog and you kind of know you're going to get effort out of them, I don't know. I kind of like Anaheim in that game. I would really worry, though, that the market is completely disagreeing with it, though. Yeah, yes. Yeah, the liens will turn into a lien against your house. I mean, I am still trying to give out good information and, good liens as well, but, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm just trying to give out as much information as I can and, give out my thought process. But the plays that I'm giving out are what I think are the absolute best. So, yeah, that's how I do it. San Jose at Winnipeg. San Jose just got crushed by Chicago. I think that was last night. So they are on a back-to-back here. Playing a third game in 4 days, fourth game in 6 days, all in different cities. Could argue maybe they don't want to end their season like that with that horrible loss last night. Maybe they will show up here. Winnipeg took a bad loss as well in their last game, and they have rest here because they didn't play yesterday. But they're playing a third game in 4 days as well in different cities. They're coming back from a quick road trip. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, Winnipeg, this will be their final game. They're playing at home. Hellebuck probably is back in net for this one because he didn't play in the last game. So they will have a goaltending edge in this game. They have the rest edge. Returning home from a road trip is never great, but it was a quick road trip in this case, which isn't as bad because stuff hasn't piled up to do at home. It's a tough read in this game. Again, I don't like any of these games. The money's coming in on San Jose for what that's worth. Winnipeg down from minus 170 to minus 157. 50% of the tickets, 84% of the cash on San Jose. The money's saying San Jose here. I can see the argument for it. I don't have a strong disagreement with that. But, that's a really difficult game to figure out. What I will say is that all these games where the game doesn't really matter or whatever, overs pretty much make sense in these games. I would say maybe not in the Anaheim one because one team at least I think does have something to play for. St. Louis at Utah, over makes sense. The money is coming in that way on the over. This game that I just talked about, San Jose and Winnipeg, I think over also makes sense. Money is also seemingly agreeing on the over there. The St. Louis game, 75% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the over. The San Jose game, 60% of tickets and 81% of the cash on the over. And that's because in games that don't matter as much, the defenses just don't play with as much intensity. Although in that San Jose-Winnipeg game, I probably like that one maybe less because Hellebuck might be able to stop some things there. I don't know, though. I think generally I do like the over in both of those. Kings at Calgary. I think the Kings do have motivation here. The Kings are trying to get out of the wild card if they can. They have a chance to get out of the wild card and maybe even host a series. But maybe LA doesn't want to host a series because they've actually been a bad home team. But they're not at home tonight. They're on the road at Calgary. They're coming off a bad loss to Vancouver as well. So there are some positives for the Kings here, man. Good on the road, coming off a bad performance against Vancouver, against the worst team in hockey. But it did end a win streak for them. They'd won 5 games in a row. Sometimes when you lose a win streak, it does hang you over into the next game. And they're playing a 4th game in 6 days, all in different cities, which is not the greatest situation to be in. Maybe Calgary will show up and want to play spoiler. Calgary did just have kind of a big game, though, against Colorado, where I don't know how close this game was. They lost 3-1. They gave up an empty net, so it was close. It was a tied game in the 3rd period. I told you guys I liked Calgary in this game, and I thought they had a chance to win the game. It was pretty close. Statistically, the game was pretty close. Empty net made it look worse than it was. They gave up 2 late goals there, including that empty net one to lose the game. That's kind of a brutal way to lose for Calgary, though. So even though they get a chance to keep LA in the wild card spot, I don't know if that's really motivation enough here. Maybe playing your final home game is, but I kind of like the Kings in that game. Depends on the price, though. The money's disagreeing with it. The Kings are at -139. Yeah, maybe that is a little bit too much of a price because everybody knows Anaheim is trying to make it out of the wild card now. So they are laying that price there. But I think situation, based on what I just showed you, there were a lot of positives to that situation that they're in, though. 81% of tickets, 76% of the cash on them, though. So the money is not agreeing with it. The money is fading LA in that one, but I kind of lean LA in that game. It's priced maybe a little bit too high. Speaking of high prices, Vancouver at Edmonton is ridiculous. Edmonton trying to maintain home ice in the first round of the playoffs here. Is that really motivation enough to be laying -325? Probably not. Vancouver's coming in off 3 straight wins, by the way. Beating the Kings in their last game, beating San Jose and Anaheim. So they've beaten the California trio. All 3 teams were fighting for wild card spots at that time, and Vancouver beat all of them. I don't think this is going to really be a letdown for them, though, necessarily, because they're playing Edmonton. Vancouver, this is their final game of the season. Edmonton might already be looking ahead to the playoffs because Edmonton, they've been in the finals the last 2 years, man. So they're going to be probably looking ahead here. Edmonton does have 2 days off, so they do have rest here. But their last game was a huge game against Colorado where they almost won and they lost in a shootout. I don't really know that Edmonton cares about this game. There's no way they should be laying a price like this. I would probably take Vancouver on the puck line in this one. Edmonton at -311 now. Amber is the color of your energy. 72% of tickets, 76% of the cash on Edmonton. Yeah, Edmonton's going to wind up being a public side. I think you're going to get a huge puck line price on Vancouver. You might be able to get 2.5 goals on that. I would lean that way. I would lean to Vancouver to keep that game close and come within the puck line there and sprinkle a little on the money line. I think it's way too heavy a price to lay on an Edmonton team that all they're playing for is home ice there. Like they're obviously the team that's being just jacked up in the price way too much. And it's because Edmonton is good and Vancouver is the worst team in the NHL. Seattle at Colorado's the last ESPN game. Colorado has nothing to play for here, though. They're still a pretty heavy favorite, but they're returning home from the road. They just won against Edmonton, which was a big win, and then they turned around and escaped against Calgary. So you might say, well, maybe that means they're going to put in more effort here because they almost lost to Calgary. I'm not so sure about that. They were on the road for Monday, Tuesday. 3rd game in 4 days, all in different cities. Yeah, it's a TV game, but Colorado, they're already locked into the 1 seed. I think they already have home ice throughout the playoffs, I believe. So they, I think, pretty much have nothing to gain by playing in this game. Seattle, this is their last game of the season. They get to play the best team in the NHL, so maybe Seattle will get up for this. They just lost pretty ugly to Vegas, but that was last night. So that's the problem with Seattle, is that they're on a back-to-back. They're playing a third game in 4 days in different cities, having to go into elevation, which is not that easy. Colorado's laying minus 181, down from minus 190. We don't see the percentages yet, but I would say in this game, also, before I forget, that Vancouver-Edmonton game over does make sense in that game as well. That total's headed towards 7, though, which does indicate something. If the oddsmakers put up a total that high, 80% of tickets, 97% of the cash on the over in that one. But again, it's a game where both teams might not have that much motivation. Over makes sense in that one. Seattle, Colorado, I would lean to Colorado, though. So I like the over in Vancouver and Edmonton, and I like Vancouver on the puck line, like I said. Seattle, Colorado, I'd lean to Seattle. Split bet, puck line, money line, whatever. Colorado just has nothing to play for, man. Looking ahead to the playoffs and going up against a Seattle team that might show up just because it's kind of a big game for them and it's their last game of the season. So those are my thoughts on those games. Yes, my 311 reference, yes. 311, by the way, I believe they named their band that because it's the police code for marijuana possession. I'm pretty sure that's what their name is, which is very on brand. That's going to do it. 2 plays today. I gave out the under 8 in Giants, Reds, and Seattle Mariners money line. Also have somewhat strong opinions on those leans that I gave out. Kansas City Royals first 5. I do like that one, and I do like the over in the what game was it again? I forget already. How do I already forget? Oh, Toronto-Milwaukee, yes. That's what it was. So those are my opinions on those. But the actual plays, yeah, San Francisco and Cincinnati under, and Seattle are the actual 2 plays there. And then, yes, I did have a little bit of a weaker lean towards Texas as well. All right, that's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. You can subscribe to me there. That helps me out. You get to join a group chat that isn't totally active, but our pal Jeffrey is in there, so he's still doing all right. He just doesn't have money to gamble with right now, I think. So, yeah, go check that out. Instagram, obviously, is where I post the short videos here. Like, subscribe to the channel here. Tell everybody about it. Boost these numbers on this channel. Trying to get to 500 to get the first level of monetization. Let's do it. We are monetized on audio, so listening over there helps me on Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. Good reviews over there help me get the word out there. We're hot right now, man, so get the word out there. And, maybe people can start their day with my betting advice. How about that? It can be part of everybody's daily routine for all the degenerates out there. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube, so you can check that out, of course. Patreon.com/LearnToToad for some extra stuff that I should be doing more of. Excuse me. And then Losercast was on Tuesday. I don't know if there's going to be a Thursday one or not, but if there is, I'm not involved in it. But yes, Tuesday we did have a new episode of Losercast. You can check that out. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you, sir. Hell yeah. In California, it's indecent exposure. Or maybe it's different in every state. 311 are from Omaha, Nebraska, so maybe that's what the police code is there. Indecent exposure wouldn't be a bad one to use either, though. But they're not the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so that's going to do it. By the way, yeah, I did watch that Red Hot Chili Peppers documentary on YouTube, although it was mostly focused on their original band member who died, but it was interesting to get all the background information about it. Anthony and Flea and John Frusciante actually are all interviewed in it, as well as Jack, the drummer, who I think wound up being the drummer for Pearl Jam, right? Because he was the drummer in that original band. He's interviewed in it. Alan Johannes is interviewed in it as well, who was the guitarist in the original band that Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of spawned off of. Johannes, known for like working with Queens of the Stone Age and stuff like that. It's an interesting documentary, because I'm into that, rock history and stuff like that. So, yeah, I kind of liked it. Pretty sad as well. Drug overdoses, pretty serious shit, man. And then I did watch the Jailblazers documentary as well about the Portland Trailblazers. I had totally forgotten that they had a couple of guys on that team that one was like a rapist, and then one was a Michael Vick. Basically, one was a dog fighting guy. I'm like, I don't even really remember those two guys that much. But the other guys, the guys that get all the notoriety there, like all they were doing was like smoking weed. I'm like, they never should have gotten that amount of. They shouldn't have had to deal with like, that amount of policing or whatever you want to say. You know what I mean? For possessing like not huge amounts of weed, whatever, man. That was Raweed Wallace, and Damon Stoudemire. Anyway, yeah, I liked that documentary though. It was interesting. Yeah, both of those guys are interviewed in it. Raweed Wallace is pretty funny in it as well. Yes. Wallace is also throwing some slurs out there during that documentary as well, which obviously I always appreciate that. So that's going to do it. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, and be on the lookout because we will have an NBA playoff bracket special where I will fill out my bracket. I will have Clint on. He did say okay, so we got to schedule that for probably tomorrow night at some point. Get his thoughts on the NBA playoffs as a Laker fan. Boo. Yeah, so we'll see. That'll be it'll be fun. We'll hang out for a little bit and talk about it. So that will be coming tomorrow night as well. Yeah, be on the lookout. And then shortly after that, I'll have an NHL bracket special as well. Probably I might do that one tomorrow at some point. I don't know. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know when the NHL playoffs start, but obviously the regular season ends tonight. That's going to do it. I appreciate everybody. But, yeah, subscribe and you'll get notified whenever I'm going live because it might be a little bit random, the timing on those. Peace.